r/AskReddit by Redmond Dts. What are some early signs that a person might commit suicide? Isolation. They stop planning anything ahead very far and just don't care about anything happening around them because they feel like they won't be around for it. Important note. Counterintuitively, if someone who has been in deep depression all of a sudden perks up one day without any reason to, keep a closer eye on them. A random seeming perkiness in someone with long-term depression can indicate the person has made a concrete plan and begun taking steps to end their life. They're happy because they see the exit and it feels like relief. Be on their ass when this happens. Ask if they have a plan and determine if they have the means to do it. Make sure they are not left alone. They start deep cleaning their home and giving away possessions. They seem much happier and active after a period of depression. 3 years ago, my wife took her own life. She had struggled with depression her entire life. Since the time I had met her, she had fluctuated between relatively happy and severe depression. Generally it was one or the other for long chunks of time. Not bipolar, just fluctuations of depression. The last 8 or so months of her life, the depression was severe. She rarely got out of bed. She wasn't interested in anything. She spent hours of the day just sitting on the edge of the bed. She was working mostly from home, but her boss was having meetings with her about the quality of her work, which was usually excellent. She had no interest in going out of the apartment and doing things. It wasn't a profound sadness per se, but a profound apathy for everything, which was very off character for her. There was no suddenly got happier and more content. I have a photo I took of her a few days before her death, and it's so hard to look at because I see the light just gone from her eyes. The pain on her face is palpable. She was in therapy, she was seeing a psychiatrist, we were doing all of the things to get her the professional help. But ultimately she made the decision to end her life when I was at work. I can't speak for others, but that was my experience. She was a wonderful and brilliant woman who I loved with everything that I am, and I miss her every moment of every day. The person I knew personally who committed suicide seemed very down for a few weeks when they found out their wife was leaving them. They had been high school sweethearts and now had 2 kids in high school. After a few weeks, he was in a very good mood, like the world was bright again. By the end of the week he had killed himself. It was explained to us by counselors that sometimes mood improves dramatically once the person has decided to put an end to it. There's comfort in a resolution. For those of us who had never experienced it before, myself included, we all thought he was getting better and moving on. Selling or giving away all of their assets and possessions. There's this thing called high-functioning depression, where some people who manages to still appear, manages to look happy, manages to hang out, but is actually carrying a lot, is the type of people that has the subtlest of signs. Most of both the time, the dead giveaway is a change in routine, or becomes more outgoing and spends more time with people. Yeah, had a really happy-go-lucky buddy at work. Always cheerful and just friendly to everyone. Nobody ever had a bad thing to say about him. None of us knew he had marital problems. Basically he did whatever he could to keep the marriage together, but the wife wanted to leave for another. He just randomly booked a hotel and killed himself. Zero signs at all. Only thing I found odd was that he called me, but I missed the call driving, and he never calls me. Wish I would have answered. If you know what their hobbies are, and they no longer do such a thing, that's a bad sign. Normally depressed individuals are very withdrawn, or socially distant, or faking. So if they are for an instance acutely social, that's not good most likely. Last conversation I had with someone I knew through work, who killed themselves, was him asking how I managed to carry on living. He'd been unwell for a long time, and had clearly deteriorated over the previous few months. We'd done everything we could in regards to trying to get him help. I replayed that last conversation in my head so many times, but always came to the conclusion that there was nothing I could have said or done at that point to change what happened. When I was on the edge, and right before my worst attempt, I completely shut everyone out. I was rude and mean to my loved ones. I pushed them as far away from me as I could. I couldn't understand why I did that for the longest time. My therapist actually had a theory that made so much sense. I've just accepted her theory as the truth behind why I was so rude and standoffish towards the very people I loved and who loved me. Sometimes, when a person is close to death, whether it be a planned suicide or a terminal illness, the person dying soon will become rude and push loved ones away, not because they don't care, but because they are trying to protect them. The dying person is trying to make their loved ones get mad at them, or even start hating them. To the dying person, it makes sense that the loved ones would feel less pain and sadness if they weren't as close as they once were. 3 years ago, my mom almost died from pneumonia. Her left lung had collapsed, and the doctors were preparing for her right lung to collapse as well. She was completely drugged up, but she was absolutely adamant that no one was allowed to visit her. In her mind, she was trying to protect us from seeing her in such a vulnerable, terrifying situation. They are disconnected. You try to talk to them, and it's like talking to the wall. Their answers have nothing to do with the questions. They talk past you, as if you're irrelevant. This may actually be a later symptom, but I've seen it happen twice. As someone who has been there, almost done this, and got that t-shirt, and now someone who often works with people who are in crisis, I have a few. Disappearing from the face of the earth. Nobody hears from them, they make no effort to contact anyone, or have any conversations. They just seem to vanish with no explanations. A sudden burst of energy, feeling happy and cheerful. This often means a plan and date or time have been set, and they are happy that it will soon be over. Not laughing in a room full of laughter when everyone is laughing and having a good time. They will just be sat in a corner not laughing, just waiting to go home. Stockpiling medications. They come off their meds, or even steal meds from others, and then stockpile them until they have enough for a lethal overdose. My husband was a veterinarian when he took his own life 5 years ago. I mention this because veterinarians have an unusually high suicide rate due to a variety of factors. High stress, low salary job market, high student loan debt, access to euthanasia drugs. He showed no obvious signs, there were no cries for help. He kept it very secret. Everyone was shocked because he was an extremely intelligent, high-functioning depressive who skillfully masked his symptoms in work and social situations. He was in therapy, and his therapist was shocked and traumatized to learn he had killed himself after he didn't show up for his next appointment. He said there had been 0 warning signs during their sessions. I'm sure he had asked if he felt suicidal, and he lied about it. Before he left the clinic on his last working day, he spent time cleaning and organizing his desk and removed a few personal items. But this didn't seem particularly unusual to his colleagues. Here's the most obvious sign. A few weeks prior, he had ordered an unusually large supply of specific euthanasia drugs from their mail order pharmacy through his work account. In retrospect, the clinic at an animal shelter wished they had been monitoring his orders more closely. They implemented new procedures for this afterward. He also composed suicide notes in Gmail and scheduled them in advance to send out 2 hours after he initiated his self-injections. Wouldn't it be nice if Gmail could scan your emails and detect suicide notes? Of course it would probably be a privacy nightmare, but as a survivor processing the new grief, I couldn't help but think of all the ways his life could have been saved. But I don't blame myself anymore, especially since he was very secretive about it. I guess in summary, oftentimes the signs are easy to miss because someone who is serious about taking their own life will try their hardest to keep you from stopping them. Rest in peace my sweet Dr. Mike. I'm so sorry I didn't try harder to tell you how much I loved you. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more. Have a nice evening.